Hello, it's Helen here. These are my hands. This is going to be a demonstration of how to do a two-piece plaster mould. You've got a picture here in front of you of more or less what we're doing. Take a good look. Right, so here's a mould. This is actually a four-piece, but I'll give you an idea. It's held together with these straps of bicycle tubing. And this one has two sides, a top and a bottom, but we're just going to do the two sides. Here's a two-piece. It's a multiple two-piece. Okay, so the first thing we need is some contaminated clay from the freezer here. It's not actually a freezer that's working, it's just for storage. It's called contaminated clay because it's got bits of plaster in, because it's been used for moulds before, and we just recycle it. It would never go in the kiln because the plaster would blow it up, allegedly. So, we're going to do this piece here. It's plastic, which makes it a bit more forgiving. I've got a variety of different objects that make an easy mould. This one needs filled up with clay so we don't get the plaster running inside it. And the same at the other end. Just make it flat, both ends, because it's only a two-piece. If you had detail at the bottom, then you would make a third piece for the bottom, like the mould I showed you first. If it's got a flat bottom, then you're fine to do two pieces. Right, I don't know if you noticed, but most of these objects have been cast already. Like the plastic is cast, so they have a seam, which makes it really easy to make a mould out of them. It helps to draw a line along the seam with a pen, fine liner, something like that. Like on this ice cream. Just, at the top bit's turned. So whatever object you're doing, draw a line on it. If it's a fruit or something, and it's a bit more, it doesn't have a seam, look down on it from above and draw the line wherever the curve goes out of sight. Just along where it curves out of sight, because that's where your undercut is. And then turn it over and check that the line is still along where it goes out of sight. Right. We're going to use melamine boards. You need one big one for your base, and you need four smaller. Two of them have to be longer than your piece. Than your object, I should say. So we start building up around the object, up to the line. This bit's going to get a bit boring and I might have to speed it up. So I'm going to go around the base. We want about 4 centimeters all the way around. Roughly. But but I'm going to put a board right up to the top because that's where we're going to pour our slip in or whatever we're casting. So it goes up to the line all the way round. That's just a spare line there, or an old line. Right, I'm going to stop and start again. Just to move things along. Right, so it's moved along a bit. You want it as smooth as you can, and coming out at 90-degree angle. So coming out straight from the line, not a ski slope. I'm going to build this up a bit here again. If there's any lumps of plaster that are annoying you, just pick them out. And the smoother and more level it is at this stage, the less work you've got to do once it's cast into plaster. If you find there's little fiddly bits that you can't get your fingers in, you can use a wooden tool to get in. And the bit at the base should be just straight across because we're only doing a 2-part. Right, I'm going to spend a good amount of time getting this really neat. Don't leave dirt on top because that will cast and be visible on your mould. Okay. So as smooth and level as you possibly can. Right, I'm going to get a knife and cut the sides straight. Just using a palette knife here, or paint scraper, whatever you call it. The same along this edge. Right, now you begin to put your boards on. They go around in a configuration so that they chase each other around. So this one goes like this, with that up there. Just smoothing the clay up to the board and making sure it's as level as possible. So the next board goes on like this. Again, up to the line. Smooth it in. And like this. So you see the configuration you can make. Doesn't matter how long your boards are. You can make it fit any size. Right, and the last one goes on like this, right up to the mouth of the cup or the goblet or whatever. Right, now we seal it. So to do that, take clay, roll it into sausages and press it along the outside. And run a finger along so it's sealed at the top and at the bottom. And then you need another one going up here. So put plenty on because it's both sealing it and supporting the boards. If you're doing a big one, you need a lot more clay because the worst thing that can happen is the plaster, as you pour it in, bursts the whole mould open, goes everywhere. If that happens, the best thing to do is get a giant sponge, sponge it up immediately. Don't leave it to set and chip it off later. That's normally not a good idea. So this goes on just all around the outside. I'm going to pause it while I do all 4 sides. Right, as you can see now, I've done all 4 sides, sealed along and up, on the outside only. Just perfecting the inside. Right, now that's ready to pour. I'm just going to show you a couple of other things. If you're doing something very small, an easier way to do it is just to roll out a piece of clay, cut it roughly to size. Got a potter's knife here. Cut it roughly to size. I'm going to do this little bottle. Right, and then it's got a seam along it too. I'm going to press it in up to the line and then gently push the clay up. So this works well for small items. Just push the clay up to the seam, close all the way around. So that was a really quick mould. There was one I did earlier. Do you see? And along the base it should go halfway up. There should be a line there too. Okay, so, and if you're doing a round object, here's another option. Fill it up to the line again with seam line. Make it flat. It's exactly the same as what I did before, but round. Okay, I'm going to try and cut that a bit neater. all the way round. And I need to make a pour hole somewhere because this one's not touching the side anywhere. So where's the stuff going to get poured in? So roll yourself a little funnel out of clay. See? And slice it in half. Can you see what I'm doing? And make that your little pour hole. You'll have to do the other half in the other side. That sits like that. That's where your plaster or your slip, no, not plaster, where the slip will pour in, or wax, or whatever you're using your mould for. Right, so because it's round, I'm not going to use boards because I'm just going to use a piece of back plastic with a piece of tape, any tape, taped all the way round on itself so that it won't burst. And then I just smooth this up to the outside edge all the way round like I did before. I should level that a little better, but I'll do that in a minute. And again, seal it on the outside all the way round, like so. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to mix plaster.